Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Controller Freaks. In this episode, I have a very specific topic that I want to discuss, and that is Mario Kart World. See, Mario Kart World, of course, the most recent installment in the Mario Kart franchise, if you are unaware. And it's been out for, I want to say, maybe 8 months or so. I think it came out last June along with the release of the Switch 2. So yeah, that would put it about 8 months ago. And so I think it's a good time to kind of reflect on the good and the not so good so far of the game. And to give you a little perspective, I've grown up with the Mario Kart games. I played Mario Kart 64 when I was a very, very young child on my dad's Nintendo 64. And then I got really into Mario Kart Wii when I was like 8 to 10. We would play that all the time. And then Mario Kart 8, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, both DS and 7. I have my 3DS back there. That's why I pointed back there. And then obviously Mario Kart World now. So I'm a big Mario Kart fan, safe to say, and I have some opinions on it that I'd like to share with you. Let's start with the good, obviously. Start off on a happy note. The tracks. The tracks themselves, particularly the like legacy tracks that they brought over, they're faithfully recreated in the Mario Kart World style, and I think that is a big plus for Nintendo and for Mario Kart World development that they were able to faithfully bring these beloved tracks into the new game and make them look good, make them look fresh, like they belong. And that kind of leads into the next point that if you haven't played or if you're unfamiliar with Mario Kart World, one of the biggest like talking points about the game when it came out and like how it was new that what was open world that there was finally in a Mario Kart game there was an open free roam to go and explore. And if you were unaware, every single racetrack in the game, I think maybe apart from Rainbow Road, is fully accessible and drivable within free roam. Like all of the tracks are integrated into the open world, and that's my next point. Um, about the good is that all the tracks are really well integrated into the open world. They kind of all have their like own little spot on the map that is almost like an entire new city or location. If you play Fortnite, they're like the named locations, you know. And I think they did a really good job of giving each track its own room to breathe and its own like way to stand out and kind of be the focal point of a part of the map. And it doesn't really seem out of place. I think the environments blend together really well with the open map, obviously, because on like the top of the map you have like the volcano and stuff, and then like on the bottom corner you have like the beach area and then the sand and all that, and like they're far enough apart that they're able to blend and mesh very well. The transition is very very good. Which leads me to my next point: open world as a concept. The concept of having an open world free roam in a Mario Kart game is something that I've been wanting for years. I love open world racing games, driving games, things like GTA Online, Forza Horizon, Need for Speed, The Crew. I love those open world racing games, and so when I heard that Mario Kart World was getting a free roam aspect, that that was like the biggest thing ever for me. I just love that they dared to to do that finally, because I'm sure I'm not the only one that was asking for that. So I think that that is incredible that they have done that. Another new thing to Mario Kart World was the Knockout Tour mode, of course, where you have it's essentially just one long race across the map. It'll take like 7 or 8 minutes to finish the entire race at least. And you start with the 24 racers, and then every checkpoint, there's like, I want to say there's like 6 checkpoints along the way, and at each checkpoint, the bottom four will be eliminated. So, like, after the first checkpoint, there's only 20 left. Then the next one, there's only 16 left. So on and so forth. You get the point. And that's incredible. I love that mode. Whenever I play Mario Kart World, that's the mode I gravitate to the most. Honestly, that's really fun. Um, so I think they did a great job with that. Another thing is character costumes. I love the ability to take your favorite character, if it is one that has a costume, which is basically one of the main characters of Mario. I love being able to take my favorite character and have that little extra bit of customization. Obviously, it's not perfect because they have to have, several costumes for several different characters. So it's not like they could really take one character and give them like 30 costumes. That's understandable. But the ability to take my favorite character and give them a little different look based on maybe how I'm feeling that day. I really like that as a concept. I think they've laid a good foundation to hopefully build upon in maybe further DLC for the game, or just future Mario Kart titles in the future in general. Um, 24-player races. I kind of mentioned it with the knockout tour, but if you don't already know, in Mario Kart World, they increased the number of racers in any particular race from 12, how it was in Mario Kart 8 and 8 Deluxe and whatnot. They increased that up to 24 for Mario Kart World for not only just knockout tour, but also for regular Grand Prix mode. And I think that is incredible. I think that just adds to the chaos. I mean, Mario Kart's full of chaos, full of fun. That's like the main appeal for it. All the items flying around and people getting blown up, and it's just chaos and it's really fun. And I think having 24 people is just a giant mess in the best possible way. So good job, Nintendo. Thank you. That's really fun. Um, and then my final good uh point, I guess, what I think Nintendo did well is having collectibles around the map. I think Nintendo could have very easily fallen into this trap of like, oh, here's this open map to explore, and then really nothing to do. So I like that they did give us little things to do, whether it's go find all the little question block pads to drive up on, or all the Peach coins, medallions, whatever, or all the P switches. Like in every little area, there are things to go and do to go collect for progression for people who care about 100%ing the game. That's something fun to do. Go drive around. It's not too intense. So I like that they did that. Now getting on to a little bit of criticism. Um, the first thing I'm not quite so much a fan of is the methods of unlocking characters and costumes. Particularly the the enemy characters, the Kamek characters in the game. There's an item, kind of looks like a crystal ball almost with purple smoke in it, that you use during a race. And what it'll do is it'll send the character Kamek flying forwards, and anyone in front of you will get turned into a random enemy, like a Goomba or a Bonefish, something like that. And that's how you unlock those characters to play as, is by getting turned randomly into one of those characters, and then once you get turned into them in a race, then you'll have them unlocked to be able to play as them at any time. That's an interesting concept, but I think especially when the game first came out, before you had custom items in the game, and you could just set up a race with only that item that you need. It was incredibly tedious and frustrating to have to go and unlock all those characters. In fact, I didn't until custom items came out. Just because because all those characters are like restricted to like, oh, there are these certain tracks that you can only be turned into these certain characters. So you have to be playing on the right track as well. And it's a very rare item if you're playing with regular item rules. And so for a lot of people, like you just have to go look it up online. And I don't think that's a great game mechanic. Obviously, yes, using the internet is an incredible tool to help yourself if you are stuck. But I don't think game designers should really be designing things that are so tedious, like difficult, sure, but just so tedious and annoying to the point where you need to go look it up online. Like, oh, how do I do this? Because that's just not really great game design. And then for the costumes, the way you unlock costumes in the game is by eating this food item that you can find at these Yoshi food trucks around the map, and in the different environments, collecting the food item will give you a different food, and then eating the different food will turn your character, if they have a corresponding costume, into that costume, and then that's how you unlock it if you don't already have it. Again, I think it's an interesting concept. I just don't really like the method of execution, because it can seem kind of random if you don't go do the research of how it actually works. It seems random, like, oh, why when I eat this food I get turned into this costume, but then when I eat this different food I get turned into this different costume, but then when I eat this other different food I get turned into the first costume again. Like it doesn't make a whole lot of sense if you don't go look it up and study it. So I think they could have done something better. Maybe like have you save up the coins that you collect during a race, and then you can buy costumes at like a shop, kind of like in Mario Odyssey. That maybe would have been a little more straightforward and easy to understand and implement. But anyway, another criticism I have is the open world. I know I spoke about the open world being really good, and it is in concept, but I think the way they executed it leaves a lot to be desired. It leaves more on the table. It leaves you wanting more. And the main way I mean that is that the world just kind of feels dead. Like the sure, in the main areas you'll have like toads walking around like in the city or whatever, so it like feels alive, but not really. I mean, other than and this kind of goes into another one of my criticisms, my last one, about the collectibles around the map. It's like that's kind of all there is to do, and like they're really repetitive. It's either, oh, go find something that's like hidden in some nook or cranny around the map that's just annoying to drive around and find, or it's like do some arbitrary challenge where you have to get from point A to point B in like a reasonably quick time, and like you can only do that so many times before you're just like, I don't want to do this anymore. So I think that they could have given us more in terms of variety of what there is to do, um as well. That just especially like the sometimes the main areas will seem pretty dead and uneventful, but the places that really suffer from this are like the areas in between the main areas. Like there's a lot of just open road with like nothing going on. There's just nothing there, and I think that they should have maybe done a better job to fill the map up with with more stuff. More stuff to see, more stuff to just make the world feel more alive and interesting. Anyway, another criticism I have is the intermissions. The intermissions are the races where like after you finish one race and you do the next race, instead of the next race just being 3 laps around that next track, the first 2 laps will be driving from the track you were just at to the next track, and then you only get 1 lap at the next track. And a lot of people complain about this in terms of online racing. That's not actually something I have a big problem with, because I see them as like different races. Like an intermission race is still an interesting race. Um, Sure, not as interesting as just a regular 3 lap race, but still, it has its place, and I'm glad they're in the game to a degree. My big issue is intermissions in the Grand Prix mode. I am not really a fan of the fact that for 3 out of the 4 races in a cup, I am driving from the previous track to the next one, and I'm barely getting to drive on that next track. Like, I just want to drive on the track. This is especially true for tracks that change over time, where like lap 1 is different from lap 2 is different from lap 3. And then if you're only getting one lap on that track, you're not getting to experience that really. And so I wish that they would have at least given us an option for Grand Prix mode to turn off intermissions so that you can just drive your 3 laps on the first track, then your 3 laps on the second, third, and fourth track, like in older Mario Kart games. Um, And speaking of Grand Prix mode, this goes into my uh second to final criticism that there aren't enough cups. There are only like 7. And maybe I'm just being spoiled because in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe there were 96 tracks in that game at the end of it with like all the DLC and booster pass and all that. So, but having what is it? It's like 7 cups, 7 or 8 cups. Times 4 races is that's like anywhere from 28 to 32, and then add in like the 6 or 7 knockout tours. It's like 40 maybe races. Um and it's just not enough. I don't think. I find myself playing online, and it's just the same races over and over again, and like I want more. I want more variety. I'm sure that they'll come out with some DLC later on, um and add more races, but I feel like there should have been more from the start. So, and then my final criticism is the lack of more mini games and battle modes. I think with the open world, that opened up so much more opportunity for mini games and fun little things to do with the open world, and they just completely missed on it. They missed that opportunity. They didn't include any like hide and seek mode, any like capture the flag. Yeah, there's so many more game modes, and they could have included it in battle mode if they wanted to. But they didn't. So, but those are all my I guess good things and not so good things about Mario Kart World 8 months into it. I don't want there to be any confusion. I love the game. I loved it ever since that first trailer came out. And my opinion of it has not changed. It is still an incredible game. I love playing it. That no doubt about it. I don't want the takeaway from this to be that I'm so critical of Mario Kart World. No, I'm ultimately I'm not. Sure, I have things that I maybe would like them to change or fix or have done better, but ultimately it's a really great game. It's a really fun game. I love playing it. So, but that's enough for me. I want to hear from you guys in the comments. What do you like about the game? Maybe what did I miss in terms of my like kind of reflection of it, the good things, the bad things? Let me know what you think about the game, what you like, what you maybe don't like. Maybe if you disagree with something I said, like, oh no, I think it has the perfect amount of races. Um, let me know. And I will see you guys next week with another episode of Controller Freaks. But for now, thank you for watching this episode.